It can't go on like this, can it? It can. Burnley 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2. If Thomas Frank isn't sacked by the end of this weekend, then I genuinely don't know what to say. And I genuinely don't think he will be either. We're going to talk about the game in this video, instant match reaction. Please let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments. I'm sure you'll have a lot to get off your chest. I certainly do in this video. I want to talk about the lack of technical quality in this team and why I think it's as a result of the manager as much as it is the fault of the players. I want to talk about Wilson Odobert as one of the positives. Obviously, Romero, Van der Ven. I want to talk about some of the defending that we saw today. I want to talk about the reaction from the fans at the end of the game as well, which we'll come on to as well. Lots of chants of "we want Frank out." Thomas Frank, your football is shy. Like it's his position is surely untenable at this point. Please make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well, and let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments. Who is your man of the match, etc. Where on earth do Spurs go from here? Someone please tell me. Right, let's get into the game then. Spurs 63% of the ball, 2.3 XG, generated 18 shots to Burnley's 9, 3 big chances to Burnley's 4. And this is part of the reason why I think that Spurs will look at this and probably back him and not really listen to the fans, because Thomas Frank has come out with so much spiel in the media recently where he's been talking about, over the last 10 games, we've seen positives every game. We feel like we're improving without really actually elaborating on what those positives are or what those things that he's kind of seeing are. And he's not really being asked about it in the media. But just like the Dortmund game, where they'll probably look at that result on face value and go, well, actually, Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League played quite well without acknowledging the gap in between the Premier League and the Champions League. They'll probably look at this today because it fits Thomas Frank's narrative when you look at the stats that Tottenham have deserved more than we've got over the course of the last run of games, where we have lost to West Ham, who have gone on and won today against Sunderland. I mean, we have literally given them the shot in the arm that they needed to try and get out of this relegation battle. We have lost to Bournemouth, who hadn't won in 11 games prior to today. But I'm supposed to sit here and believe that we're going in the right direction. And the stats will tell you that. They'll look at that you can make that assumption if you didn't watch the game. But again, it's another one of those games where most of our chances and most of our good opportunities come from set-piece situations, second balls from set-piece situations. Martin Dubravka made an excellent double save in that first half from Wilson Odobert and Conor Gallagher, where it was a headed... Odobert's really cleanly struck volley came from a corner that was headed away. The goal comes from a second ball from a corner. We were okay, I think, in that first half. I think it was one of our better performances recently, where the bar is right now, and I was quite content, actually, with what I've seen in the first half up until the goal. I thought Basuma was probably our standout player in that first half. It does make a difference having someone that can kind of drop into these areas and be brave to get on it and help us kind of get through. It was obviously more like Spence at left wing, Simmons kind of in that pocket on the inside left, Van der Ven kind of moving over to left back in possession or left kind of sided centre back, Gallagher kind of pushing on here. It was kind of more like this, which I think on paper there's some bits to like about it in terms of the balance, but I just think this, in terms of Jed Spence, if I can find the player highlight button at the bottom of this brilliant tactics board made by the GOATs, James Lawrence Alcott, who has to hold that for the Football Joe Tops Pub quiz last night. Yeah, your boy came out on top. But Jed Spence playing at left wing, that is a big issue in this team. He cannot play that role. He just cannot play that role. I think he's almost better. And I think maybe you get more out of him from an attacking point of view than him playing at left back, because he has got the pace and acceleration to get past certain defenders, but the end product is not there. I do think he's really uncomfortable in these areas and deep build-up, but I think he's just uncomfortable on the left-hand side in general. And when you've got Matisse Tell sitting on the bench, coming on, and I would say making an impact today. Again, he come on and kind of played through the middle, kind of went two up top with Solanke, and again, that kind of fits the narrative of the only time this Tottenham team actually looks pretty dangerous sometimes is where all caution gets thrown to the wind and we're just going for the jugular because you've got nothing to lose at that point. Like Villa in that second half, we've been chasing games and we've got a goal back in other ones against Liverpool, etc. as well. And today, I thought in that first half, we actually did put pressure on Burnley. And despite the fact that the goal was from a set piece from Van der Ven, or a second ball from a set piece, I actually thought it was kind of justified because of the pressure that we'd started to build up before that. For kind of 15 minutes before, there was still bits to not like earlier on. But again, once we scored the goal, we kind of just sort of... It's the same stuff every week where we score a goal, whether we kind of deserve it or not based on the pressure that we've built up. And then we'll just kind of drop in, sit back, try and soak up pressure, and just kind of see it out. And that's how Burnley obviously equalised before half-time, then came back into that second half with a real sense of impetus to kind of get on top of us. And again, they had chances. There were moments for Burnley before that goal came. Van der Ven having to make that tackle to stop Breuer from scoring. Spurs didn't really have anywhere near as much of control of the game as they did in that first half as well. And I just, was that mindset thing? It's an instructional thing. I really don't know, but we cannot control games of football for a long period of time. We just are actually factually unable to do that under Thomas Frank. Part of the reason that is the case is the technical level of this squad that I also want to come on and talk about. But I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad today. So bad again. And he's been bailed out once again by Romero and Van der Ven. Romero with a bullet header. Like, that is an unbelievable header. And it kind of links to one of the other players that I want to talk about as a positive in Wilson Odobert. But I think I should save that because I think there's a lot that kind of needs to be spoken about before we get on to him. But this over-reliance on our centre-back scoring is just it's just a real worry. Like, the goal threat that they bring, the box threat that they kind of bring. And look, I think part of it is because some of our other attackers are not ruthless enough, actually. I think Solanke had a good chance in that second half, set up by Javi with a nice, cute little dinks cross in. But the fact that your two centre-backs are scoring goals like that shows that you're not really actually generating that much from open play out, or not much generally outside of set pieces. And again, I know, like, both goals today didn't necessarily come directly from set pieces, but Van der Ven was a second ball, and Romero, again, it's where he's thrown himself up front, where he's throwing caution to the wind, which he did against Newcastle, did against West Ham, and his box threat is genuinely insane. Like, that header. And the thing is, right, Romero, I thought Romero got caught out for Burnley's second goal today. It's poor that he steps up in the way that he did. If you've seen the game, you will know. And again, I'll try and do a bit of a breakdown tomorrow where we can go through some of the stuff. But Romero steps up, gets spun by Lyle Foster, then doesn't make enough of an effort to get back in. I don't think Van der Ven then gets sat on his arse really by Jadon Anthony, and then obviously they go on and score. But the Romero, like, these two do stand up. They are leaders in this team, right? And this is the thing with January, right? Is that when you bring in Conor Gallagher, you bring in Andy Robertson as well. And I'm not dissing Conor Gallagher at all. He was okay today, didn't do much. And again, I know he's kind of finding his feet back in the Prem and adjusting to the pace and all those kind of things. And again, I think he's much better when he's up here, rather like as a kind of a second striker than how he's going to be used at Spurs for the most part right now, I think. But we've prioritised bringing in strong characters and leaders in this January transfer window because of where we are currently in the table, obviously. And I think that obviously the Spurs team has needed experience for a while. But what this Spurs team also massively lacks is real technical ability, like real technical quality. And I think when you look at some of the players, I think Danso was especially bad today with some really sloppy passes. But again, I don't think it's a massive strength in his game anyway. But these are kind of basic stuff. And I don't want to dig out Danso. I felt a bit harsh coming to him as the first one because there's definitely other players to talk about. Vicario, if Inter Milan really want him, then he came over and said that he'll crawl over and sign for Tottenham in his blood. I'd crawl over to Italy to upgrade this guy because I think, look, maybe that's harsh and I don't always like being like this, but he's costing us every single week. Not necessarily in terms of like letting goals in that he shouldn't let in because he's bailed us out on a lot of occasions as well. But his like the basic passes that he cannot do every time the ball gets played back to him under no pressure. Where's the ball? If Danso plays the ball back to him, Vicario just treats it like a bomb. And it's going out here every single time. It happened in the second half. It happened multiple times today. Like, there was one in the first half where we were building up as well. He just launches it out for no reason when there's an opportunity to build there. Like, his lack of ability on the ball is actually unbelievable. But again, I think it comes back to the manager. But I also want to highlight some of the other players that I thought were especially bad with this today. Javi Simmons. I really like Javi, as you guys will know. I've defended him a lot, and I think that in recent weeks he's started to find other elements of his game that we know are really there. And obviously it's going to take time to come from the Bundesliga to come and really establish himself in the Premier League and show it. That's absolutely fine. But for a number 10, his weight of pass is like really poor. Really, really poor. I think that was evident in the game against Dortmund in the week, and I think I mentioned that in the video after the game actually. But today, a lot of basic 5-yard passes, and again for that is a player that does play with confidence and has a bit more verve kind of about him. Like, in the final third. Sometimes takes too many touches and that kind of stuff. But his basic level of passing is just not. It's not where it should be. It's not where it should be. He did some good things today, and I think when he kind of. There was a couple of moments where we won the ball back high and he kind of receive it in the pocket here and then sort of be able to dribble past a couple, get to the edge of the box. Porro had a couple of free kick opportunities from Xavi getting fouled twice. And that's where he can kind of come alive. When he's dribbling and running and threatens to shoot, that's where you're going to see the best out of Xavi. But he needs to really sharpen up on his passing ability. But and I don't necessarily think that's I don't know. I don't think that's a managerial thing. But I think for a lot of them, the rest of the team, right? I've seen players under Ange Postecoglou, and again, this is not revisionism, this is not a clamour to get Ange back or anything like that, because I don't think it would have worked out in the third season and those kind of things, but you have seen this Ange Postecoglou team with players that might not actually be as good as this on paper necessarily, be able to understand patterns of play, be able to put passes together. Because of the environment that is created, players feel more comfortable on the ball and are more likely to take more risks. I actually think we make more errors when we're making basic passes because of this risk-free environment that Thomas Frank has actually kind of created. We've seen Ange Postecoglou teams not give the ball away anywhere near as much as this, and they are playing in a more risky fashion, really. It's incredible. And I think Frank, with that risk-free, safety-first kind of approach that he has created, I almost think it's kind of forcing more uncertainty with the players on the ball and kind of almost forcing more mistakes. They've got to take responsibility as well as professional footballers as well, obviously. It's not just Frank, but like Porro today, oh my God, like it's like he was playing in a tumble dryer, like just all over the place. Like, and to be fair, like he's been running to the ground a hell of a lot. And I think that Frank did the right thing by taking him off at half-time and moving Spence over here. He brings Udogie on, obviously, rather than Mattis Tell at that point. Udogie comes on and we kind of tuck into definitely more of a 5 than it was in the first half. And I thought that if Udogie was going to come on and play as a left, my instant reaction at half-time was like, okay, I don't mind that. I'd rather see Tell come on. But if Udogie is kind of playing high and wide and just being up there holding the width with Van der Ven kind of coming into more of these areas, there was also a couple of times where Udogie broke into good positions, but Van der Ven just didn't release the pass early enough, which was frustrating. But it was very much like this. It was very much more of kind of a 5, and it was like, it wasn't like, right, okay, we've just conceded a goal. Let's not worry about it. Let's go back and show some aggression in that second half and go to get the game back. We kind of just shrunk into our shell a little bit more. My head's a bit gone, so I can't remember if I spoke about the defending for both the goals, but the defending for the first goal, which I'll speak about in another video tomorrow when I watch it back. But for a manager that's prioritised defensive solidity and trying to make us more solid, Thomas Frank, to have 3 centre-backs on the pitch and concede a goal like that with the mark, like, Xavi Simons should get out and close it down quicker. But, and again, the players have got to take responsibility as well. I think it's actually Spence that kind of loses his man for Twanzebe to score, but it's just not good enough. It's not good enough whatsoever. The second goal as well, as I said, Romero kind of stepping out, Van der Ven getting sat down, and it's just an absolute mess, to be honest, at Tottenham. And yeah, I mean, let's just play this quickly. Let me just quickly switch this on if you guys can hear. Yeah, lots of boos. Cries of Thomas Frank. Your football is crap. All that kind of stuff. And they've got to listen. They've got to listen to the fans. They have to listen to the fans. The club off the back of this. They absolutely have to. Again, Frank today not helping himself. I thought the first half was a better setup. I thought we were actually okay, but again, too many of the same hallmarks of recent performances. At the end of the day, we very nearly lost to 2 of the bottom 3 in the last 7 days. We are not heading in the right direction, despite how much he says that we are. We are just not. Fundamentally, we're not, and I think a change has to be made. And again, the substitutions today, like I said about with Tell comes on to kind of come and play. We're sort of playing almost here, really, rather than playing at left wing. But he comes on and Spurs make an attacking change to try and get back in the game when we're 2-1 down. It's too late. It's reactive. It's not proactive. And unfortunately, that is just not going to cut it from Frank whatsoever. It's really, really not. And like I said, I can't remember if I said it in a video just now or a video I just made on TikTok. Make sure to go and follow me over there. But again, in this January transfer window, we have prioritised getting in leaders and strong characters rather than technical ability that will help improve this team. We've ignored and neglected the left wing situation to the point where we're starting Jed Spence at left wing over Matty's Tell, which I think is absolutely criminal. We're just a mess. Are they holding on to Thomas Frank to make Spurs seem more stable than they are in the market by not sacking the manager? I honestly don't know. But again, reactive, not proactive, not good enough. But the only positive I think I want to take from today, again, Romero stepping up with that brilliant goal. Van der Ven obviously as well. But I thought Wilson Odobert was actually outstanding. I thought it was his best game in a Spurs shirt that we've seen. I think with Odobert so far, maybe outstanding is a bit too far, but we've got to have something positive to kind of talk about and get behind, right? Wilson Odobert today, it doesn't actually flash up on here on desktop, but you can see on Tottenham. Tottenham was a great app, by the way. Go and download it, go and use it. On desktop, he created the most chances. He created, he had the most dribbles in the game as well. Today, and he just looked a lot more confident. He was one that certainly didn't give the ball away. He had 4 shots. A few of them were a bit powder puff and a bit scattergun, but he had a really good one on his left foot that tested Dubravka in that first half. There were a lot of runs from, I suppose 3 were on target, but yeah, again, a couple of bit powder puff. But there was that one he shanked over in the second half. 57% dribble success rate, 67% accurate cross rate as well. I thought his crossing was really dangerous, and his ball in for Romero for the goal I thought was absolutely quality. He just looked a lot more confident. A lot of times he was picking the ball up in deeper areas, driving at the heart of that Burnley defence to really make something happen. He was our definite spark today. I think over a 90-minute performance in the Premier League, that is the best we have seen from Wilson Odobert. It's all been about moments and kind of flashes so far with him, but I actually thought he was really, really good today. Really good. Was bright, linking up really well, and his crossing I thought was really good, and he just looked a lot more confident, a lot more brave. So that's hopefully a positive, but there's not many to talk about. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. I mean, maybe we're going to be making a video tomorrow morning on Thomas Frank getting sacked, but we shall see. He's got to go, blood. He's got to go.